is the Texas weather discussion video for Wednesday, the 6th day of September. Very comfortable weather for North Texas is in store for us, and also everyone's worrying about Hurricane Irma. How has it been doing? A lot of things have transpired since yesterday. Let's take a look at the water vapor satellite view across the CONUS region, like we always do. Get a not the scale look, and that deep troughing in the north near Canada and parts of the Great Lakes is going to help aid in very comfortable weather for the next week or so. In fact, this is actually the coolest we've been since 3 months. This is the coolest we've been since 3 months. At 5:21, temperatures Arlington 85, DFW 67, but go out to Graham, where they're in 56, and Bonham 57. Wow, and wow, and it's expected to be very comfortable today with highs only reaching the low to mid 80s in most locations, but we'll still have plenty of sunshine here. On the convective outlooks today, we have 3 areas of marginal risk, one in the west, 2 for the East Coast, and 1 near the New England area. And then day 2, we have a marginal risk for parts of California, Oregon, and parts of Nevada. And on day 3, no organized severe weather is expected for all of the nation. We're most likely going to stay dry for a while now. Take a look at the rainfall output for the next 7 days. This is valid through Wednesday morning of next week. And you can see that the bullseye areas is basically associated with Hurricane Irma. We'll get to that in a minute, but here's what's going on in the tropics. Tropical storm Katia has basically formed in the western Gulf near the Bay of Campeche, and we also now have Tropical Storm Jose that's now on the board. But let's focus on Katia first. I don't think we'll have to I don't think Houston or Corpus Christi or Brownsville, Texas will be affected by this, as this will most likely recurve back into Mexico and then eventually go off to the Pacific, honestly. So we won't have to worry about this. But here's Tropical Storm Jose. Here's a model guidance on this, and most models keep this to the north of the Leeward Islands. And more than likely, this is a stalling system here, as the steering currents will basically as this storm will basically lose steering currents, and this will most likely just basically dilly-dally in the Atlantic, basically stall in the Atlantic, affecting no land. But the National Hurricane Center actually predicts this to become a hurricane by Thursday morning. By Thursday morning, maximum sustained winds are already 60 miles an hour, and the models actually do bring it to at least a Category 2 hurricane. Some models want to bring this to a Category 3, but this will have no threat to land, and I don't think we should worry about this. But of course, people are always wondering about Hurricane Irma. How's this been doing? I've seen a lot of stunning GOES 16 water vapor satellite views of this thing, and wow, this is breathtaking. Honestly, this is beautiful and terrorizing. This is beautiful and terrorizing at the same time here. Maximum sustained winds of this thing are now 185 miles an hour as a Category 5. This is officially the strongest hurricane in this part of the Atlantic thus far. And wow, you can see all the hurricane warnings and watches here. And by Sunday morning, this is expected to make a sharp northerly turn to the either South Florida or East Florida coast here, and here's another output. Here's the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, and basically all in the magenta area is basically in the worst case scenario here. in terms of the hurricane, in terms of the hurricane here. And here's the arrival time of the tropical storm force winds. You can see that most of the arrival times the for South Florida is basically around Friday night to Saturday morning. Friday night to Saturday morning is where most of them could experience tropical storm force wind speeds. Um, but of course, you could start feeling some effects from that. Of course, rip currents and dangerous steering currents can also result from this from this potentially catastrophic hurricane. But the model guidance shows this, of course, making the right turn or the northerly turn into the Atlantic. There are one or two models that bring this out to the Gulf. We just disregard those because those are statistical models, and they only look at statistical points. But more than likely, this is a storm that's going to go into southern Florida or the east coast of Florida, and the GFS ensemble guidance, the 21 members, the mean actually skirts the coast of South Florida and then makes a landfall near the Carolinas, and this just turns northeastward, but northeastward, and I think there's a lot of uncertainty with this, and I think there's still a lot of uncertainty with this, and I think we should kind of focus on other model runs like the 06Z and the 12Z run before we can make any confirmation to that. So let's go. So this is the intensity guidance, and of course many of us actually have a funny feeling that that Irma is actually in the peak of is actually peaking about just about now. But of course, this does not mean that to let your guard down. This is still going to be a very catastrophic and potentially life-threatening storm. That this stays a major hurricane for basically a very long time here. So let's go to the dailies here. This is the GFS. This is the 06Z run, valid today at 1 o'clock at 500 millibars. Very deep amplitude trough in the north. Wow. That's going to help aid in keeping us drier here. We're basically going to be dry, sunny conditions here for the next several days with highs basically in the low 80s here. The same thing on Thursday and same thing on Friday. Now this is the weekend here, Saturday. Of course we're gonna stay sunny and nice with highs in the mid 80s here, and this is Sunday. The 06Z run of the GFS shows that Hurricane Irma is skirting the coast of East Florida up here, and by Monday afternoon shows this making landfall between Georgia and South Carolina here. Of course, don't pay attention to the pressure number. Of course, the GFS is of course very famous for producing bogus pressure numbers. Here, so don't pay attention to that. Other models have been successful in predicting this, and the 18Z run on Monday. Now this goes to the let's go to the European on Sunday. This is Sunday evening. Of course, it has the same thing of skirting the coast of Florida here. Now this is Monday evening at 7 o'clock, and of course this shows this making landfall between South Carolina and Georgia here. So both models say the same thing. Both 06Z and 00Z models show the same thing, but this is just model output. This is not an official forecast, and a lot of things, and basically all of central and southern Florida needs to go through their hurricane preparations here, as we're now in the peak of hurricane season. A lot of things can and will change. Those of you that are in Georgia, South and North Carolina still need to go through their tropical storm / hurricane preparations, as of course as of course this is still expected to remain a very dangerous storm here. So, and of course by Wednesday, this is just voodoo at this point. The remnants of the remnant circulation is somewhere in the northeast, and by that time we ultimately don't know where this thing might end up. By that time, so let's go to the end of the forecast period. This is Saturday's the 16th of September. Heights are below average for us, and looks like one that may be one or two chances of rain here. But again, this is voodoo, and a lot of things can and will change. For this day, I still think we'll still be in abundant sunshine with highs and only in the low 90s. But hey, let's look at the numbers for the next 7 days, for the next week here. But hey, I see no 90s on the board, which is a major change here. But lows may be down to 50s again in some spots on Thursday. And of course, fall-like weather is here, of course. That's it for the Texas Weather Outlook video for today. I'll have more notes in the blog. The next video here by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you can, catch your local TV stations on the air at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Make it a great day, and Godspeed.